And then Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, hired by the Steelers. And I think, for the most part with the Steelers, they like to hire guys from within, right? Like it's truly one of those programs where, and there's only a few of these places really, where they prefer that it be one of their own, whether it's a coordinator on offense or a defensive coordinator or, somebody in personnel. I just get the idea that this is a place that values continuity and people that have come up in the building. Arthur Smith is a little bit outside the mold there. And I think he's also outside the mold because this is the first chance that they've taken on a dude since I've basically been out of the league. And by dude, I mean a guy with a reputation, a guy who's either been a head coach, a guy who's thought of as a highly sought after play caller at any point in his career. Todd Haley was kind of the last guy, right? Like they've cycled through a couple guys since Todd, including Matt Canada, and they kind of felt like half measures. It felt like Bill promoting, the wrong guys from within to be offensive coordinators or what have you. This feels like taking a chance, and I like it. That this feels, and I also think, again, having another head coach in the building, Tomlin doesn't need any help, but it's a net positive. It can't hurt to have that experience. Even if he failed within that experience, you learn things. And I also think like when you weigh Arthur Smith's time in Atlanta against maybe future outcomes, it's hard to say, how affected any of these guys are by having to shoulder the responsibilities that head coaches have to shoulder while calling plays. Like, it's insane to me to think about as I sit there playing Madden, trying to keep track of what defenses, the dude on the other end of PS5 Live has been in. It's hard for me to keep track of the clock. It's hard for me to keep track of a whole host of things, and I'm just playing a video game. Now imagine that there are constant conversations going on throughout the game about timeout usage, about personnel, about, like how we're going to adjust to this and that, fires you got to put out on the sideline, all those things, including during the week, having to be the architect of a week of preparation, including having to coordinate travel, including having to make decisions on things that people at home think are kind of inconsequential. They're all consequential while trying to devise a game plan and then call the plays. Like, I'm not going to judge Arthur Smith's time in Atlanta in a manner that I'm going to hold it against him. I've seen him call plays successfully in the NFL. In 2019 and 2020, he got the best out of Tannehill. He got the best out of Derrick Henry. And you could say, hey, that's a perfect storm. Those guys are in the primes of their careers. It could have been anybody, but I do think he was a perfect fit there. And if you look at those guys statistically, they had their best years when Arthur Smith was in Tennessee. And, when he left, you could say, hey, Derrick Henry, a little longer in the tooth. Tannehill, the magic runs out a little bit. But I think especially with the quarterback, seeing those results makes me feel good about what they could get out of the guys they have in Pittsburgh. Now, the big differences to me when it comes to what he's done, customarily and what Pittsburgh has done, at least this past year, is play action pass. Like, that's a huge one. And I don't know if it's a thing where at the end of the season they became more of a power running team. And I understand that Atlanta, a little bit more outside zone, a little bit more edge stuff. But in spirit, it's the same thing. It's committing to saying, hey, we are a running football team. You know what position group was probably the most pissed off that Arthur Smith got fired? The offensive line. They love that guy. And I don't think, and there might be some pushback here, I don't think Atlanta's got the most talented group up front. Now, they're a very good group, right? They've got guys like Lindstrom. They've got guys like Jake Matthews who have been there a long time. But I don't look at that group and say, damn, they just have loads of talent. And I know Pittsburgh's less talented, less heralded up front. They'll make additions, but he will get the most out of that group, and he'll get the most out of the run game. Now, play action pass coming off of that, that's something that Pittsburgh left money on the table with. They were 31st in the league when it came to play action attempts. Okay, like Arthur has been top 5 everywhere he's gone. So if you want to know what they're going to look like, I think the run game is going to be a big part of that. And I think the play action will be something that, especially when you have two quarterbacks on the roster right now, although they're not accustomed to it, can be the best friend of an average quarterback. Play action can really be a tool for a guy that's not a world beater. And right now, if you look at that roster, you've got Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and they're talking about these two are kind of duel it out, and there's a competition. If that's the case, play action will help these guys. Now, there's a wild card scenario here. You know who was first in the league last year in play action is the Minnesota Vikings, and I've talked about this before. I talked about it last week. I think the Vikings and Kirk Cousins situation is one that not enough people are paying attention to, because I think he's a good veteran quarterback who can win you games, and he's going to be on the market possibly, and he's going to command a lot of money still at his age, 36, coming off an Achilles. I think he's a guy that Pittsburgh could look at. And I also wonder if this move is instructive in thinking maybe there is a wild card kind of quarterback that they have in mind that they could acquire or go after. And maybe Kirk Cousins is that guy, because he is a play action dude. I mean, that he's made a lot of his hay over the course of his career, turning his back to the defense, gathering his feet and delivering and firing downfield. Like, would you rather have Kirk Cousins or Ryan Tannehill? I think Kirk Cousins, as his career has gone on, people have appreciated him more appropriately as maybe not an elite quarterback, but somebody you can definitely win with. And you can win with it if you got a run game. You can win with Kirk Cousins if play action is a part of the equation. And if you are Arthur Smith, I look at the Tennessee model, whether it's Kirk Cousins or somebody else or the guys on the roster, you have your version of an A.J. Brown in George Pickens. I'm not saying he's A.J. Brown, but I think he's wildly talented. And you have your version of a Derrick Henry in Najee Harris. Now, he's not Derrick Henry, but you've got a big bruising back and a very talented number one receiver. And I think he might look at the bones of this team and say, hey, we can win this way with this formula. And so I think this is, number one, an outlier when it comes to Pittsburgh making a hire, right? Like they're going outside the building. Tomlin's very loyal to a fault, slow to get rid of Canada, but he did the right thing. And now I think this hire is in line with what I would do if I was up there. I'd go get an experienced play caller and somebody that puts an onus on the run game and puts an onus on play action pass, especially in that division, right? That quick game bullshit that they were doing for a couple of years, the lack of creativity, the predictability, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight in the AFC North, and on top of it, it's not complex. There's no differentiating factor to your team, so you're not physical and you're not creative. And now, at the very least, I know they're going to be physical, and I've seen Arthur be creative. So I don't know. Maybe I'm selling hope. I don't want to make this an endorsement again. But Pittsburgh fans, I think you got to be excited to have a real live offensive coordinator in the building for the first time in a half decade. You know, this guy has done it.